Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes, they dominate. This is when Mario Cristobal woke up Saturday morning and he envisioned how he was going to win this football game. That was about how the game he expected to play out. And Dill, here's my take right off the bat. Last year, we saw a really good Miami team that had some really elite parts about their team, but they also had massive flaws. Like I'm looking at this team, and we have a nice sample set. We played Notre Dame at home to start the season. We played USF week 3, which is a top 20 ranked team in the country. Didn't seem like they were top 20 ranked, but they were top 20 ranked. Where is the flaw of this football team? They have difference makers. They have some of the best players in the country. Dill, I don't think there's a player on defense that is having bigger impacts on football games right now than Ruben Bain. And so we know there are elite parts about Miami with elite football players. My takeaway here through 3 games, that there is, to my knowledge, to what I've seen, like they ain't a flaw on this football team. It's one of the most complete football teams that we see in the country, with a 6-year quarterback that seems like he's in massive command of this offense and line of scrimmage play that rival any team that you see across the country. This team, to me, is not only a college football playoff caliber team, it is a team that can make a run at a national championship. And my biggest takeaway, Dill, is this game could have gotten hairy, right? It's on the CW. There was a weather delay against a tricky USF team. In previous seasons under Mario Cristobal, we've seen Miami not play their best football in these kind of spots. They come out and dominate, and there was never a doubt. This team feels a little bit different. It is matching up with what I'm seeing with my eyeballs on the screen as well. Buckle up. This team can do some damage in 2025. Fired up to get into it. Before we do, and as always, the Miami Hurricane fans, hey, this is the question that I have. And hey, if you just want to give a little vibe check, that I'm cool with that as well. What I want to hear now, what are the expectations that you guys have for this football team? Is it still just college football playoffs? Or is it like, hey, we kind of expect this team to make a run in the playoffs and compete for a national championship? Because, Dill, if you ask me right now, it's kind of where I'm at. I think this team can do some damage in the college football playoffs. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, the Miami Hurricane fans, the amount of support this fan base shows to the boys is amazing. So we appreciate you guys. Dill, without further ado, I'm going to give you the tee box here. Let's start on the offensive side of the football. Biggest takeaways from a dominant performance from this Miami Hurricanes offense?
It's got to be these wide receivers, because that was my question. Like, who is going to be the guy? And honestly, the guy who stood out to me today was Keelan Marion. And he was a guy who really didn't produce a ton at BYU. You knew he was a really good athlete. When the ball was in his hands, he could be electric, but you didn't really know what he was as a pure wide receiver. I mean, the way he was routing guys up, beating man coverage routinely, being able to win that more traditional manner as a wide receiver, but also take the top off, because that's something that we've seen in the past couple of games. His emergence as like a real difference maker, I think, is huge.
What a find, dude. What a find. Because when Miami went out and got Keelan Marion, I was not convinced he was a guy that was the answer to Miami's questions at the wide receiver position. Like, hand up, I was wrong. And Dill, it's not only as a gadget guy. That was kind of my idea of what Keelan Marion was going to be. Gadget guy that you can use on some vertical plays, you can give some end arounds to. No, like really, really clean ability to run some routes and create some separation. And yes, he's really dynamic with the football in his hands, but Dill, at the same time, this is a very polished wide receiver that is showing stuff on film that we just didn't see at BYU. Credit Mario Cristobal, but more importantly, credit this personnel staff for going out and not necessarily finding Keelan Marion, but being convicted in the sense of, hey, he wasn't great at BYU, but we think he can be great at Miami. CJ Daniels, Malachi Tony. Here's what I love the most about this wide receiver room is, number one, I spent so much time listening to the national media tell me that this wide receiver room is going to be a joke. One, they were all dead. Right? Yeah, you part of the problem.
I was part of the problem.
Now, the other thing I love about this position group, so balanced with so many different skill sets, right? I mean, look at Malachi Tony. I'm a separator, man. Like, I am Xavier Restrepo, just in a younger body. for this Miami Hurricanes offense.
And with a lot more athletic juice, if we're being honest, because
Yes.
he is awesome. I mean, you saw the way he was returning punts, like,
Yeah.
really impressive player for his
Yeah.
age, I mean, especially because he's a reclass young
And
guy.
dude, he's only getting like the kid's only gonna get better, man. Which should fire up Miami fans. But then you have your separator, your guy in the slot that just gets open. 3rd and 5, Malachi Tony gonna be open. We gonna be moving the chains. Then you have a guy in Keelan Marion who is much more well-rounded than I thought he was. Dynamic after the catch. Then you have a guy in CJ Daniels, just throw it up to him. Him and Joshua Moore, like go give them contested catch opportunities specifically in the red zone. They gonna come down and make plays. There are so many different skill sets in different ways these wide receivers can test opposing defenses. We went into the season with that being the biggest question mark. Through the first 3 games, it ain't that big. In fact, I would say, hey, this wide receiver room is actually pretty damn good. Carson Beck's
I kind of wonder, frankly, if they're going to start getting these tight ends a little bit more involved. I know they kind of had the one to Bauman at the on the boundary off that like kind of wide release route, if you will. You haven't seen a ton of these tight ends, and I think that is a little bit more of a credit to what these wide receivers are doing. So it's not like this passing attack isn't humming, because it is certainly humming.
Yeah, like did that. I mean that should be also encouraging. It's like, hey, we haven't even really gotten a really good tight end, at least what we think are really good tight ends involved in this offense. And I think what you said is because you don't really need to like have them be dominant inline blockers. We got pass catchers on the outside. Carson Beck, phenomenal command of this offense, man. Now was feeling himself a little bit, tried to fit some balls into some windows that he probably shouldn't have been. Dill, outside of like 2 throws in that football game, he was extremely sharp. And you saw some high level throws. You saw him check it down when he needed to. He was really sharp. And then Dill, Mark Fletcher, man, running. Does he? Am I right here in saying that last year and year 2, the jump from year 1 to year 2 is probably not as big as many Miami Hurricane fans probably would have liked. And I think a lot of that had to do with he was hurt all of offseason last year. Does he feel like he's got a little bit more juice? Like still the physically imposing running back that wants to attack north and south. But when he gets to the second level, there's a little bit more of an ability to punch and punch it, I should say, and like hit some explosive plays when we get to the second level. I think Mark Fletcher looks great through the early parts of the 2025
Yeah,
season.
his acceleration seems to have for sure taken a jump.
Right?
And that ability, though, to grind it out and get those
Dude,
hard yards,
so
like
big.
he's a really big time back. One thing I loved about this running game, you saw a little bit of read option stuff worked in, and you didn't necessarily need it for this USF game,
Yep.
but that is going to be something. And Carson Beck was running it. He's not the greatest athlete in the world. He's a good
Do it,
enough
man.
athlete. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to like say he's incapable, but he had a really good feel for that. He was pulling it at the right times.
Yep.
He was getting it at the right times. That is a really interesting wrinkle if they can get that into that rushing attack to just, again, keep that backside defender back and let this offensive line even churn it up a little
Bill,
more.
you said he gets the hard yards. And I think that's such an important conversation because it showed up in this football game. Look at the third down number, 7 of 11. Dynamite on third down. Why is that the case? It's not Shannon Dawson dialing it up on third down. It's because you're staying on schedule, man. And it's because Mark Fletcher's the perfect running back for this offense. Like, hey, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, moving the chains. His ability to run hard had 5.5 yards per carry after contact in this football game and just kind of grinded this USF defense down. And obviously, we probably should give a lot of credit to the offensive line, but that's kind of just like a given at this point. This offensive line is elite. I don't know if in fact, I don't think there's a better offensive line in the country. You have every single position group humming on this Miami Hurricanes offense. And that's what you saw against USF. Kind of burying the lead, at least what I have in my notes after rewatching Sunday morning. Defense was flying around the football field. Biggest storyline for me, Dill. Look, USF's going to run some tempo. They're going to run a lot of different personnel groupings. They're going to give you a lot of different looks. They're going to be tricky. How many bust assignments did you see in this football game? Like, not really any that I can remember. That's the biggest difference between Corey Heatherman and what we had last year with Lance Guidry. This defense has the talent. We knew that. They had the talent last year, Dill, right? They did. But they just didn't play together as a unit. I thought it was a really clean performance from this Miami Hurricanes defense, and it starts with just the simple stuff, taking care of our assignments, making tackles in space. Check, check, check. I thought the defense looked great.
And it's come together really quickly because you can
Yeah.
only really count one bad rep, and that was probably that Eli Raridan catch for Notre Dame where you leave a guy wide open. But you even
Yeah.
said that the plays USF was able to make, it's like, yeah, I mean, they hit a vertical
Made
play.
some
That's a
plays.
really good throw and catch. It wasn't like terrible. It wasn't the greatest play by OJ Frederick. I mean, he had a dominant game for the
He was
most part.
great.
But,
Yeah.
like, that's a really good play. Like, if you can make those as USF, yeah, you'll move the ball a little bit. But you said it, like, this Miami team doesn't give you anything easy. Like, there is nothing that's just like, oh, that was a bust, that
Yeah.
was a breakdown, that was easy, that was a missed tackle.
Which
Like,
is important to note, Dill, which is important to note because everything last year seemed easy for offenses. Like when you played Miami Hurricanes defense, it just seemed so easy to manufacture space and hit chunk plays.
and it's
Everything
fun
seems so
now
hard.
that you can let these defensive linemen really tee off and pin it back because they are monsters. And you
Is
said it,
I
Ruben Bain is back. Like, he probably was one of the guys, and I don't think it was all his fault. I think that defense just took a monster step back. I don't think
yeah,
they were
agreed.
being put in great positions all the time. Ruben Bain might be the biggest benefactor of just a cleaner defense because he is having a monster year. And
He
he is
is the so far for me. There's not a player that's had a bigger impact on football games on defense than Ruben Bain in the country. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say right now, Dale, is that Ruben Bain's the best defensive player in the country through 3 weeks of the college football season. I feel pretty dang confident saying that. He's been on, and Dill, here's the storyline, man. Like USF was trying. I give him a lot of credit. Like sliding protection over to Ruben Bain. You saw some tight end shapes. You saw some double teams. Here's the problem. You want to do that. Well, you got another dominant guy on the other side, Nakeem Mesidor, who was really good in that football game as well. David Blay continues to be a presence in the middle of the defensive line. Dude, Miami, some of these portal additions they made, like what were we going to get from Keelan Marion or CJ Daniels or David Blay? Like at really important positions where Miami needed to hit with their transfer portal guys. Well, gosh darn it, they hit, 'cause I think David Blay has been awesome for Miami in the middle of the defensive line and giving a little bit more pass rush juice than I expected this defensive line as well.
and you probably leave off one of the more important guys in Motore. Like, you talk about a
He's
guy
been
who
awesome
is
too.
really kind of manning the middle of that defense. And Wesley was saying, I don't know, like, that's a great duo because you're seeing what essentially I feel like we were talking about, that like Motore really work in the middle, kind of keeping everything afloat, and then you see Wesley Bassane just chasing things
Flying
sideline
around.
to sideline, being really impressive there. That's a really good duo.
Direct Wesley Bassane's play, I thought, was a direct impact from Corey Heatherman's presence on this defense. Like, did Wesley Bassane all of a sudden become an insane athlete in the offseason? No, probably not. Like, he's always been a solid. I'm not saying he wasn't a good athlete last year. What I'm saying is he's playing so much faster under Corey Heatherman. The dude is flying around the field. And look, USF was going to test you. A lot of stuff on the perimeter. Our linebackers were flying around the football field, playing really, really fast. Then you look at the secondary. How about another hit for you? Jacoby Thomas, right?
Yeah,
Like my Miami fans were a little upset. Like AJ Holliday decided to go to LSU, and AJ Hollidy's really good at LSU right now too. Jacoby Thomas doing his thing for Miami, like as a consolation prize. And Dill, I wasn't sold on it. It's like I think Jacoby Thomas is fine. I think he's playing a little bit more than fine for Miami in the early parts of the season. So you got OJ Frederick as like erasing one half of the field. You have a nice rotation of quarterbacks on the other side that are all playing solid football. Jacoby Thomas playing much better than we expected. Bryce Fitzgerald as a freshman, he gonna play, and he gonna play an important role for Miami going forward on the defense side of the football. It seems like everything is clicking for Miami until it's at the right time because you're hosting Florida. And I guess to wind down this conversation, it's this. What are your expectations for Miami going forward in 2025?
yeah, they're right there. I feel like there's like four teams right now who are, or maybe four or five, who are playing like number one kind of caliber teams.
Yep,
Miami's right in the mix
one
there.
of them.
You said it, like, because Notre Dame's a good team, and that was a pretty, I don't want to say dominant. I mean, I know that Notre Dame started to crawl their way back into that football game,
They
but
dominated three
that was
quarters.
wire to wire, pretty impressive game for
Yeah,
that Miami team. Yeah, there's not many teams that you take over them. They're right in that mix of the top team in the country,
and
and we're talking that way. Yeah, your expectation does go beyond playoffs.
And especially, Dill,
right in the mix.
especially in the ACC, what we're seeing from Clemson.
We'll beat
right?
the bag off of Clemson.
I don't know if they're going to see Clemson, Dill, because I was like, oh, they're on a crash collision course in the ACC championship game. I don't think we're going to see that anymore. It's going to be Miami, and I don't know who else.
Maybe
At least it might. And it might be. And Florida State's damn good, but I do think Miami has the monster advantage in terms of line of scrimmage play right now. I'm looking at, Dill, I got a checklist in my head. When I'm evaluating teams that I think can not only make the playoffs, but, win a national championship. And this is just off of like what we've seen. Like, go look at a team like Ohio State last year. Go look at Michigan. Go look at the Georgia teams. What do all those teams normally have in common? Elite line of scrimmage play, which Miami has, and a quarterback that Dill, a 6-year guy that's been in these moments so much over the last couple of years. Those are the two most important boxes to check, and Miami has them all checked. Now, the pre-snap penalties fix it. Those are pissing me off a little bit because I was so happy with Miami staying on schedule, and it's like 3rd and 1, then we're taking a false start. That's got to get fixed. Outside of that, man, like it's been not flawless, and I think there are still ways Miami can get better, but holy smokes, it's really hard to find holes in what you're seeing from this football team right now to start 2025. It's a national championship caliber team, at least the way they're playing right now. And here's the thing, Dill. You can't peter off. In fact, you got to focus on, hey, how can we continue to get better as the season goes on? Fired up for this team, and it's cool because Mario Cristobal's built it, man. He's done a lot of good things in the offseason. The success hasn't always come on the football field. This is the team he envisioned to have in this much into his tenure. And he has that team, and I think he's looking to capitalize. All right, we'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We going to talk to y'all later. Peace.